You're accused of some pretty serious crimes. Do you want to tell me your side of the story?
I don't really want to go too in depth about everything, just because I'm not really 100% sure about like what's really going on. Um, I'm trying to get a different lawyer. I don't know how to go about doing that.
So why did you want to do the interview with us today?
I was really just trying to reach out to anybody else who could possibly be in my position, who maybe be like have any type of disabilities and have kind of went through some issues with. I don't want to say the entire system because the entire system isn't bad, but I just feel like sometimes people like myself get caught up in things and nobody really listens. They just think like, oh, you take medication or you haven't been on your meds, so you're just talking. And when in actuality, they could be possibly like caught up in a spider web of some sort, if that makes sense.
So what is it that you're going through?
I'm sorry?
What is it that you're going through?
Right now I'm fine. I mean, every time I come to the jail, I'm able to get my meds and I'm not homeless. But like, for like the past 6 months, I was recently on probation and I completed my probation successfully. And then my probation officer, he kind of said to me he was going to help me find an apartment where I would only have to pay 30% of my income because I received disability, which is only like 700 some bucks a month. Well, he never did that, so I didn't really want to keep bugging him and bugging him and bugging him. So I found myself in like a lot of bad situations where people were like, well, just give me 500 bucks and you can like stay in my back room for a couple of weeks. And it was kind of hard on me because that's the only income I had coming in. And then I found myself on the street, and then like if you're on the street, the only people there are like drunks or people who are into drugs and stuff like that. And that's obviously would be my first choice, but like who wants to be homeless, So that's kind of what I was going through. I was working with I don't remember her name, but she was through Cass County Social Services, and they were going to help me find a place. And so what happened was I was on this deal called Medicaid, where I was going to be able to get my medications through CVS Pharmacy. Well, that got cut because I didn't have an address. So when I contacted the lady at the Annex building, she said, well, look around, see what you can find. Like, as embarrassing as it is, it was kind of hard for me to navigate through doing stuff like that because I never really did it by myself, So I was unable to really find a place. And since I was unable to find a place, I wasn't able to get insurance. Since I was unable to get insurance, I wasn't able to get medicine. So then there I was again, and I was just kind of lost, if you will, and I didn't really know what else to do. I don't want to say I gave up, but I was thinking suicidal at times, and I would get really down on myself, And then I would be in like different relationships with different girls that I really liked, but then I just found myself giving them all my money, and then they would just kind of like break my heart a little bit, And so then there I was again, just alone. So usually what happens is I end up in jail for something like really stupid, Someone will let me borrow their car, and then I'll bring it back like an hour later or something, and then they say I stole the car. So those type of things are what I've been going through over the years, if you will,
Mm-hmm. So I know you talked about drugs a little bit, but how have you been impacted by drugs?
How have I been impacted by drugs?
Mm-hmm.
I would honestly like to say, like I said before, if you're living on the street, if you go to numerous places to get help, you can't get help. If you're walking around all day just looking for a smile and you don't find one, eventually you will. And the person that's smiling may not be like, somebody that can help you get a place. The person that's smiling at you may be somebody who sees that you're lost and sees that you're in a certain situation that can advantage them or help them, if you will. But drugs, I would say drugs have kind of impacted me in a sense where it's helped me not think about my homeless situation at times, like smoking marijuana or something. That kind of was like, put me in a position where it's like, okay, well, I just don't care. I'm not going to worry about what's going on,
So have you done things that you think you normally wouldn't do when you were using drugs?
No, not usually. I like to listen to music or crack jokes or just, hang out with friends. That's usually what I do.
And so tell me a little bit, I know there's a lot of people in the community, after all of this news came out, after, the accusations that you're facing, is there something you want people to know?
I don't even know what is going on as of yet. My attorney, he's really been helping me out, but he's scaring me more than anything, because I don't understand who they're talking about or this situation to 100%. I don't understand, you know. But as far as talking to people out there, I mean, I don't really know what I would say. I would just, you know, say they'd have to know me on a personal level to really know who I am, you know. Like about a year ago, I was put in the paper for another incident in which I felt like people talked so bad about me, and after that, I felt so small, you know. And then all of a sudden, facts came out in that situation, and you didn't hear about it anymore. But every time I put my name on an application for even a Burger King job, or every time I put my name on an application for housing or anything, it was like, oh no, you know, we're not going to give you a chance. So what? You did an interview, or they don't care about that. Like none of that meant anything. So I guess if I would say anything, I would say to anybody, you just have to know me. You know, like I could tell you all day a bunch of stuff, but you have to know me. You know, and if you don't know me, then you'll never know me. If that makes sense.
So what's it like? You know, we hear a lot from the police, and we hear a lot from, you know, other people. But we don't normally hear a lot from people who are accused of things. You know, talk a little bit about that.
You have to know me. You know, I'm kind of just a goof troop, if you will. I like to crack jokes. You know, I love watching sporting events. Like any other guy, I like girls. You know, I have a couple of daughters that I'm not in their life at all because, you know, when things come out in the media or the he say, I like to call it the small town thinking, the he say, she say comes out, it's like, you could have never met me in your life, but just because you read this about me or you heard this from that person, you'll believe it 100%. And now I'm just like, got the light shined on me, when in all actuality, I don't want to say I'm a victim because nothing really bad has happened to me, but in all actuality, I'm a decent person, I like to think. You know, like, I could never see myself like just outwardly hurting anybody or trying to take something from someone. You know, there's always a variable, if that makes sense. There's always that X involved that you don't know about, that won't ever be revealed. And I don't know how to go about revealing that. I don't know how to go about showing you that or telling you that, you know. It's just something that's just there, you know. You would have to know me. You know, I have nothing bad to say about the authorities. I have nothing bad to say about the sheriffs or anything like that. I know they do their jobs and stuff, but it's always confusing why they're like on my back. You know, sometimes, you know, people always say, I don't want to become that conspiracy theorist, if you will, but it's just like, man, like, why me all the time? Like, no matter what. Like, I turn the corner, I'm doing this. And all I've ever said was, can you help me? That's all I've ever said is, can you give me a little bit of help? Like, why can't I have an apartment like the next person? Why can't I be in one of those programs where they have people stop and check on you every couple of days or whatever? Hey, if I need that, I need that. It's embarrassing to say at this point, but here we are, you know? Why can't I get that? I completed probation successfully. You know, that's what they asked of me to do, and I did that. And I was still pretty much thrown to the dogs, you know? That's how I feel. So, I don't know if that even answers your question because I'm a rambler, but that's kind of how I feel about everything.
So what's been going through your head while you've been here?
I've been thinking about my daughters, you know. A lot of people kind of, well, Cass County sounds weird, but they always kind of been cool with me. Like, I'm cool with everybody here. Like, I've known them for years. I'm always in here, you know, like, they know me. The nurses know me. They know my medical history. Even, like, the staff, they know me here. So it's almost like at least I'm not homeless, you know. At least I'm not homeless. At least I'm going to get fed. At least people are going to smile at me when they see me. You know, I'm not going to feel like I'm going to get attacked or like somebody around the corner is going to manipulate me or something. But more than that, I've been just kind of trying to understand the Bible better, thinking about my daughters, really trying to figure out how the heck did I get in this situation? Like, who's done this? How is this going? How powerful are you to do this to a person? You know, like, why would you do this to me? You know, why is this happening to me? And what do I have to do to eventually get back to my daughters, you know? Or to even get to them at all, because I haven't had any contact with them, you know? It's been hurtful, you know? I find myself, like, crying a little bit because I don't really know how or why. Or why this is going on, why this just keeps happening to me, you know? 35, but some days I feel like I'm like 12 or something, you know, and I don't know, like, I don't have nobody to pick me up, you know, but it's just how I be feeling, you know.
So I know at the time you were accused of being on drugs at the time of these crimes were committed. Do you think that impacted what happened at all?
You know, I don't remember anything during that time, you know. Only thing I remember is being scared to death. You know, I just remember being really fearful, and I remember like trying to remember where my friends were. But everything else that they're saying, it's like, that must have been someone else. Like I don't remember any of that. And I even said that to my attorney, and he's like, well, maybe we should, you know, just give you some time. But I'm just like, I don't remember this. This couldn't have happened for real. You know, and I tear up about it because you read about it in the paper, and it's obviously very unfortunate. But that wasn't me. Like, I wasn't there. And so then I started having these weird thoughts, like, am I being like set up, or am I being framed of some sort, or, you know, is this some type of like conspiracy against me? And I don't understand why it's happening. You know, that's my take on the whole thing. Like, I don't even remember any of that. You know.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What's your message for people who, you know, read the stories and look at you and don't know anything about it?
I can understand how you would instantly believe it, because outside of here, I've read things in the newspaper, you know, and I've said to myself, oh, wow, you know, but until I became that guy in the paper, in the story, knowing the truth was completely opposite or different, like the threesome deal that, you know, I went through, I would say you really want to, I don't even know how you would go about finding out facts, or how you know, you just want to follow the story, or maybe you want to, maybe they could somehow, some way start something up where people are like able to come in and speak with me or something, or I don't even know what to tell you, you know, because it's really not going to matter. It's been a power. It's like so powerful. There's no way to overcome it or like to see through it. You just have to know the person or the situation personally. Because if you don't, I mean, somebody could tell you, oh, well, all Martians live in Minnesota. And everybody be like, oh, Martians are in Minnesota, you know? But that could be a lie. But just because it's big, bold print in the newspaper, and just because people who graduated from college are talking about it, makes it completely factual. Well, it's not always completely factual. It's their job, what they're doing too, you know? That's how I feel about that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you think you'll grab a couple tight shots and like a 2-shot?
I have a lot of tight shots. I can
Oh, you do?
2 shots.
Okay. Anything else? Anything you want me to know?
Not really, you know. I kind of feel a little bit, I'm feeling a little bit bad to my attorney. He didn't want me to do this, you know, but I feel like I've never spoke up for myself, really, you know. I've never really said what I really felt. And I felt like today I said what I really felt, you know, and however things go is how they go. But, you know, if there's somebody out there that can relate to it, maybe they can reach out and help. Because that's all I've ever really wanted was some help.
Mm-hmm. So I know you said that everything is kind of confusing, but are you saying that you're innocent, or you don't want to comment on that?
I'm innocent. I know for a fact I never hurt anybody, and I've never killed anyone in my life. So as far as what they're saying, I don't know where they get this information. It's not factual. It's not true. You know?
Ask him if he...
Like I said, the only thing I've ever said to anybody is that I just want some help. I just want to have what everybody else has. You know, I just want to see my kids too. I want to be able to get them Christmas gifts. I want to have a Christmas tree. You know?
What were you gonna say?
Ask him if he thinks he was framed. Like if he actually thinks that. Because he said that he mentioned it. So I was just wondering if he's thought about that.
So she's asking, have you thought about that you could be framed?
Have I thought about that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you know, I don't really like to speak openly on that, because then that like brings up all these other things, like, oh, how and why. It's like, well, I could sit here for hours and tell you things that I noticed, or things that I observed, and you would probably say, well, maybe you were, maybe you weren't, you know, but it's almost like, that's like a whole other 2-hour interview, you know, but yes, I've thought about it. Yes, I've definitely thought about it. Why? I don't know. I'm not anybody with any type of power or money, so probably people usually that get framed are those type of people you think, but there's definitely some things that are taking place that just make me like, that just doesn't make any sense, you know, like somebody who definitely wants me out of the way, you know?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Anything else?
No, Not that I can think of. If there's anybody that's going to be on TV,
Mm-hmm.
if there's anybody that watches this and has some input, you don't even have to put your real name on the envelope. You can just write me a letter. I don't have to know who you are, where you're from, or your address. I don't have to return it to you. I don't need any money or nothing. But if you just have some input or some advice you could give me, I'm definitely open to it. I don't get any visits. I don't get any mail or anything. I would really appreciate to hear from somebody just saying, hey, I relate to your story. Hang in there, because definitely helps me out big time knowing that somebody else can relate a little bit.
Mm-hmm. So where are you from?
I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois.
Oh, okay. Very cool. I have an aunt who lives there. How did you find yourself here?
I came to play football at Fergus Falls Community College, but I wasn't really able to keep up with the curriculum. So then I dropped out after my freshman year, and I just kind of wandered to Fargo. I followed some dudes to Fargo, and before I knew it, I was just like seeing a girl, living with her, and when she got sick of me, I was seeing another girl live with her, and then I was in and out of jail for small things, and I learned over time that, like they say, ignorance of the law is no excuse. If they know you don't know what you're doing, and they're going to get you to plead guilty, and then over time you have this record that doesn't really even represent who you are, and you look back after all of that and you say, gee, I really could have fought all of that, But anyway, that's how I found myself here. I'm a big football fan. I play football. It's like the only thing I'm really, really good at.
Okay. Anything else? No?
No.
Well, thank you for meeting with us. I didn't think you were going to, but I thought we might as well ask and see, if there's something you want to do.
Well, I appreciate you guys coming out.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, take it easy.
Yeah, you too.